Today we got Corey Florin, DP director out of Brooklyn. His work is crazy, big inspiration to me. How far he's accomplished, the sets he's been on, the clients he's worked on. So I'm excited to get like a real insight on like a real video, or not real video, a real DP director, someone that's more in the filmmaking world, you know.
No, I'm curious how he like, we DP and we see things and but like there's levels to it.
There's levels to it.
There's also different realms.
Exactly.
What we do is completely different than what he does.
Yeah. So we do a lot of commercials too, but I consider more of our style more like videography-esque than more, I would say, like film. I don't know. Like, it's hard.
Yeah, we're not really like doing too much cinematic type of work.
It's more commercial, corporate, high key lighting. Yeah.
Definitely,
exactly.
Definitely. So,
but he makes his stuff look great.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. Like, I love the more filmy cinema side of things.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely looking forward to.
Yeah, he's been working on like some big crews. Yeah. I'm excited.
I'm excited to talk about some stuff he's been on, some stuff he's working on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be fun. And you were just in
Austria with him. Yeah, so we got some. We'll get into that too.
Touch on that too.
It'll be cool. Shout out JT. I wish JT was here for this episode, but JT's a savage.
Always wish JT was here.
Always. Episode 4, no JT still. We got the mic for you, buddy.
Yeah, for real. Episode 4, no JT. We said
JT might just have to be a special co-host.
We might just have to put a picture of JT right here.
Yeah, print one out. FaceTime him and just have him on. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, man. So tell me, how are you?
I'm good, Joe. How are you?
I'm here. I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm everywhere.
Enjoying the ups and downs.
The in-betweens. That's all life's about.
It's not hard not to touch the mic. You just want it.
I know. Oh, and here's our guest right now. Perfect timing. Look at this guy. Do you need another minute?
No, I'm good.
All right, hop on in. Hop in the... Here he is, Corey Florin, everyone. Let's go.
This is the Eric Andre show.
This is it. You know where to put the mic. Ethan, just make sure the frame's good.
Yeah.
We got to make sure. We're still working out the logistics on this thing.
Yeah.
Doing a podcast is kind of hard.
Dude, I've never done one. I've only filmed like one of them.
Yeah.
And
we just try to make it as streamlined as possible, honestly.
Make it what?
As streamlined as possible.
Yeah. People can just hop in and hop out.
Yeah. Bring it over to your left a little bit. Or the other left, I think. Let me see the frame.
No, yeah, I think
No, more.
The other way.
The other way. TP, just get the frame done.
The frame this way?
We're still working out the logistics.
Rule of thirds.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn the thing towards me. Yeah.
Go the other way.
Yep.
Keep on going. Stop. Go a little left. Yeah, it's fine. We'll crop in. Focus. We got to get TP. Put in TP. Tap him in.
Make me look good, dude. Come on.
Come on, dude. We got the best DP in the house. Corey Florin, everyone. Let's go. So, Corey, welcome.
Thank you for having me, guys. I mean, this is my first time doing a podcast, so I'm a little bit out of...
it's all good. This is only our fourth one.
This is only our fourth one. We're still trying to
Usually I'm behind. I'm not in front.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and usually I'm not having lights on me. So it's a little bit different,
Yeah.
Can you kind of tell the people what you do or like what have you been doing?
Yeah, so I mostly work as a DP, which is called Director of Photography. So I handle cameras, lighting, camera crew, lighting crew, commercials, documentaries, corporate videos, cooking shows, a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So live in New York City, work mostly out there, but also have traveled to a bunch of places for shoots and
100%.
travel around the U.S. a whole bunch as well.
And internationally.
And internationally, yeah. Been to a lot of cool countries, probably to a lot of really cool places, got some really interesting experiences.
Is there any experience or anything in particular lately that has stood out?
I mean, after the pandemic, I have definitely limited the amount of international travel I've done.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think the last country I was in.
Austria?
Well, Austria would have been the last country I was in, but not for work. But the last one for work, I think, was Iceland, which was pretty cool. But unfortunately, I was only able to stay in Reykjavik for the work, so I wasn't able to go.
You were just at the airport.
Yeah, exactly. I was like at the airport and like in the city, and we saw the volcano, which was awesome. But other than that, yeah.
Yeah. How'd you get into all this?
I mean, probably like most people, I've been kind of interested in my entire life. My dad bought me a camera when I was like 8, 9, 10 little pinnacle editing system. And like I really got into like making it look like I could, levitate onto a table by putting things in reverse, just like really cheap gimmick tricks. And I've always just been into it, did it throughout high school, went into college to film school, studied cinematography, video editing, post-production, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then after that, went internationally, lived in Southeast Asia, shot over there for a while, came back to the US, opened up a production studio, and then the pandemic happened and has kept me in New York, kind of in a way, So
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you went the traditional film school route.
I did, yes.
Do you think for the people that want to go or are going now, do you think it's worth it?
I always say whenever people are asking, is it never hurts. Of course, you can just learn, from being on set. However, you're able to make your mistakes in film school without any, consequences. So it allows you to use new equipment, allows you to meet a whole bunch of people, it's really hard to be a videographer and be like, you know what, I think I kind of want to do some sound. Like, let me ask the sound guy on set if I could hold his boom for a next shot. They'd be like, hell no. Film school.
Fuck off.
Exactly. But in film school, you're able to try all that stuff and, make your mistakes, find out what you want to do. And then I personally see people when I'm on set and I know somebody has been to film school, I can kind of see it on set. Just in their professionalism, just in their etiquette, something as simple as like making sure a C-stand goes the right way. Like just the small little things that, on my crews, I do kind of appreciate if somebody has been.
Oh, 100%. It's crazy because half of us, like JT went to film school, Ethan went to film school, but then me and Thomas are more YouTube. What's one thing you learned on set that you didn't learn in film school? Or like one key takeaway?
That's a tough one. I mean, I'd say you just really learn how to work with clients, how to work with producers, how to work with, the client side on set that you'll never learn from in film school because you're generally with students, And I think you kind of get that moment of like, if I made a little mistake, like how am I going to divert away from this problem that's on set when you're getting paid for it versus like in college, it's like, oh, I made a little problem. We're going to shoot through it. So I think that you really start to learn that once you get into the real world of like those issues, how to get over them, how to overcome different things, how to work with clients, how to make them happy. Because in the end of the day, you're shooting for that client, and that's who you got to take care of.
When those issues do come up on set, how do you normally handle?
I say always bring it up. You know what I mean? Like don't hide an issue, bring it up, because if you ask for forgiveness later, it could just be worse. So always bring it up and just keep calm because there is going to be problems on set. Nobody's ever going to go throughout their career with no problems, no issues, no broken equipment. I've shot full days and then at the end of the day, we're backing up footage and you find out a card's corrupted. Do you know what that feels like to tell a client that just spent
I do.
$15,000 that day? Exactly. And trust me, you do not want to bring that up. You do not want to talk to them about that. But once you bring it up the first time, and they yell at you a little bit, but it's not your fault. It's equipment.
Just,
You're able to then bring that to the next, problem that arises. So
clip that.
Exactly.
When was that like aha moment when you're like, oh damn, I'm a DP? Like what? Because you probably have done like smaller projects where you're on your own. But when was that moment where you're on set and you're like, oh shit, I'm in a big production right now?
I think it's when you're only handling lighting and camera. And when you're kind of getting that respect.
But do you remember your first shoot that was like that?
Not really. I'm trying to remember that.
Like that, you're like, oh shit.
But I think it like goes into like, I started off shooting like a lot more documentary stuff and a lot more run and gun. And it's like when people appreciate your thought of how you're going to make it look is when you're kind of the DP in a sense. You know what I mean? Because they're coming to you, hey, this is how we want it to be. We want to communicate this emotion. How are we going to do that? And then you give them a response and they're like, oh, that's how we want to do it. Now you're the one that's taking over the visual look and you're finally the DP in a sense, When
did you gain that confidence of like being on set, having an idea and being able to properly explain that to a client of like,
or to your career, like makeup, hair, like everyone?
I mean, I don't know exactly when, but I would say I've always a lot of people left film school and they're like, I'm going to go AC or be a camera PA. Then I'm going to be a second AC. And then I'm going to be a first AC. And then I'm going to be a this. And then eventually going to make my way up to being a DP. And I just kind of left like, I want to shoot. I want to be a DP because I don't want to wait that long. You know what I mean? And I kind of just always, from the start, have been like, I want to be the one that shoots it, you know, or is in charge of how it's shot. And I'm not sure where that confidence came from, but I think it was just kind of like belief in myself.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of would look at my work and I'd be like, you know, I can make some good work and I know people will pay for this kind of thing, you know?
Knowing your worth is like half the battle,
Exactly.
especially in our industry.
Well, especially in our industry, and a lot of people, you know, I think a big problem that a lot of people run into is when they're starting out, they're like, how much should I charge? And they're not confident in what they do. So they get a job that comes through and it's like, hey, we're going to pay you $100 to come out today and you're going to shoot. And you're like, yes, I need that job. And it's like, no, you should be confident that if they're coming to you, you can charge them for what you're worth. You know what I mean? And you got to try to find where you fit in that based off how many years you've been doing it for, or, you know, what you have shot, what type of content you've shot. But you need to be confident in this job, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Clip that. That was a good one. That's easier to edit. Just clip that one. Tell us what kind of content do you like primarily like shooting the most? Like what do you, if you were to wake up tomorrow, you have any budget, you're going out on set.
Yeah.
What are you shooting?
If I could choose one thing to shoot, I'd love to do like travel food content. Why? Because I love traveling because of the experiences. One of the reasons why I love my job is because of the people I get to meet, the things I get to do, the different industries I get to see. And I've been very lucky to be able to travel a lot when I was younger. You know, my family, half of them are from Austria. So we spent some time over there. And like, I think food is a way to communicate a culture better than anything else. You know, there's so much history in food.
Definitely.
And food productions are always just like really fun because everybody's hospitable. Everybody's giving. Everybody wants you to experience something. So if I could like make a production that's going high in the mountains of like Austria, for example, interviewing these people that are, you know, have been living up in the mountains for a long time and what type of food they make, that would be freaking awesome.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
You could totally do that, even with no funding.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Especially
I mean, it's
Austria.
actually an idea that I have, you know what I mean? Like going to like Austrian, you know, mountain food and, you know, Swiss mountain food, you know, but I think that today, the way that documentaries are being shot, especially you see on Netflix, they're getting these huge budgets because people are starting to, you know, appreciate the way an interview looks in a documentary. You know what I mean? So they're giving these huge budgets, or like, how do you shoot that food? How do you, you know, instead of just like, boom, here's like a handheld shot, pan over to it. It's like, let's set it up, let's dress it, let's get a food dresser. And I think that's really fun. You know, you're kind of making something look really beautiful and there's so much history behind it, you know?
Yeah. 100%. I kind of want to go back into, so the goal of this podcast is kind of to talk about content and like what content's trending right now, what's working. What do you see in terms of like the filmmaking industry and how it's like transitioning more to like social content?
I mean, I think it's just people's attention spans are just getting shorter. So,
and how do you feel that affects like traditional filmmaking? Because we got pulled out onto like a shoot last week for Fashion Week and we shot the entire thing vertical.
For what?
Vertical.
Oh, vertical. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's, you know, that's always fun. You know, I've definitely been asked to do that. And I have my thoughts on that. But I think that today what's happening is you're now needing to really think about how are you going to create that, you know, each video that you make should be a story. There should be a story in what you shoot. And it's like, you know, if you only have 10 seconds, got to make that close up, you know, that wide look really good. You got to make that close up look really good. And you got to make that final shot look really good. Let's just say you have three shots in 15 seconds to do. You know, you got to really think about what it's going to be. You can't just go out and just shoot a whole bunch of B-roll and then just try to find it. You kind of got to go into it thinking, this is what I want. This is how I want it to look. Yeah. Because of this is the client. It's a fashion client or it's a food client. You know, is it going to be, you know, gritty or is it going to be clean slate? You know what I mean? Like what is...
Yeah.
So I think that with everything going shorter, it just means that your shots that you pick are just way more important.
Yeah, 100%.
I learned that on my first music video shoot.
Yeah.
I just, hey, let's go to this spot. Let's shoot it. I got all these performance shots. I even got some B-roll shots, but then I'm there and I'm like, I didn't even know what I was going to do with any of this stuff. Like, what's the actual storyline?
Exactly.
Now I'm like, this shot is going at this timestamp right here, and it makes the job like much easier.
Well, and then once you know that story, you know color, you know, lens type, are you shooting all wide, or are you shooting 4x3, or are you shooting 9x16 now?
Yeah, literally.
So you think like the storytelling aspect is the most important part of filmmaking? Because I mean, like you could have the nicest cameras and the shot look great, but if it doesn't really flow correctly.
Well, I would just say like say a client comes to you, and I was actually thinking about this the other day, talking about it with someone. Like let's just say Topgolf comes to you, all right, and they're like, we want to sizzle, okay. You could go shoot a whole bunch of B-roll people, chugging beers, swinging balls, eating wings.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would be like, yeah, that's a really good time. But what if you turn that into, a story of a dad bringing his son to Topgolf and teaching him to swing for the first time, and he sees the ball go in and it lights up and he gets all the points and he's like, woo. More people are going to connect with that, feel that emotion, and come to Topgolf then, compared to just seeing people eat wings.
Exactly. And I think too, it really goes back to like what audience you're trying to hit. Because you could do a million different ads. And I always tell my clients, you run ads to the ads that they're supposed to be going to. Exactly. You could target like dads in that ad, or you could do like a general ad, a general sizzle. So I feel like it always really comes down to like the audience.
100%. And especially the age range today too.
Yeah.
That goes into then the timing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like with older generations, I just did a thing for Pfizer, and that's going to be a longer piece. But, that's for a little bit people that are older and have
that attention span.
I don't want to say disease, but may need that medication. You know what I mean? And because they know that it's targeting people in that age range versus people with that, that are going to be buying that medication aren't going to be 15. So that doesn't need to be a TikTok for psoriasis.
That would be funny though. That might get engagement.
It might get engagement, because the kids would be like, "What the hell is this?"
That's just a reel for psoriasis. Damn, that's funny. Do you have any like crazy set stories? Anything that comes to mind where you either overcame like an obstacle, something went wrong, and it suddenly went right, or anything where you were at the right place at the right time?
I mean, dude, it happens. I want to say there's always an issue on some sort of set. You know what I mean? One that kind of comes to mind, we were doing a thing for Bleacher Report. I don't want to say the two NBA people, but we had a team that was in LA and we had a team that was in New York, and the NBA players, it was for PlayStation. They were supposed to be playing each other in NBA 2K, I think it was, and we were recording them like live, and then it turns it into a commercial. We wait around. We get there at like 10 o'clock in the morning, I think, is our call time. We're supposed to shoot at like 4. Well, like 4 rolls around. We have the whole setup, light everything, lighting the outside from the windows in. And the NBA guy is like not there to be found. And he's just like, oh, I'm eating dinner, because his chef made dinner. So now we're talking to people in LA. We're like, hey guys, he's not available. He's not here, blah, blah, blah. All right. Well, then when he shows up, the guy in LA is now doing something. So we're all just waiting around. And like we were supposed to shoot for like an hour and a half, 2 hours with them, so we could just go through all the takes and, the director could remote direct both of them. And 7 o'clock rolls around, and I guess 7 was his like absolute cutoff. And dude, we're in the middle of like a take, and he just takes his headphones off, like looks at his phone, just puts his controller down, just gets up. And we're just like, what? And they're like, yeah, he's done. And we're like, well, we didn't get anything that we needed. You know what I mean? So then it wasn't me that had to handle it. But then, client calls, what the hell, blah, blah, blah. Well, that was the manager. He said that he can't shoot it anymore, blah, blah, blah. We're done. We got to break down. So they're mad. And then basically we had to like give them a whole bunch of notes of like how you could maybe now turn this into what you needed it to. So they had to like change the whole entire end product because they had one day, they're paying a whole bunch of money. He's really strict on his timing and will not go past 7 p.m. And then the crew gets the brunt of it, Yeah. It's kind of, it looks like we're the easy ones to blame, but in reality, it's like, dude, we've been waiting for you since 4, like, that's one that comes to mind.
I feel like on set, it's like always hurry up and wait. It's just.
It is. Yeah. And, I try to not have that waiting time. And I was actually talking about this with a client that I have a shoot with for tomorrow. And it's like a really big B-roll shoot. And I'm like, you got to understand that people do wait around because they're not coming from a production background.
Yeah.
And like, there's a lot of crew members that are waiting around and it looks like you're spending money on them for nothing, but that's just part of the process, But hurry up and wait is like, I hate waiting. So I try to make it so that doesn't happen, but it just naturally happens,
Yeah. Are you handling all your posts right now?
No. So I have some clients that I handle post for, but then I also shoot for agencies and stuff. So I'm just of a DP. But more of my personal clients, I help them from start to finish. I try to, but I'll line them up with a producer because I'm not the best one at making schedules and, logistical things and, where should food come from? I don't want to be responsible for that, Yeah. So I help them hire people on and then, just advise from the camera standpoint. And then maybe I'll do posts.
Yeah. So how often are you editing now at all? Very rarely?
I'd say, I probably edit 2 projects a month.
Oh, wow.
But that's out of, probably shooting at least 3 or 4 times a week.
Did you used to edit a lot of your own projects?
If I feel like I've just, and this is where I'm trying to right now in my career kind of change a little bit. I just shoot so much more for the agencies and for the production companies. However, I want to be the one that's handling those clients as well.
Yeah.
So since I'm so busy and I can't take on those other times, I got to pass that editing off maybe. I'll oversee it. I would like to be a little bit more involved in that from start to finish and have my own personal clients, but I'm also in demand for shooting for the other people, so it's kind of a tough juggle, and it's kind of, where do I go with it?
And how are you handling that juggle right now? Like, do you find it hard to say no? Or are you still just taking anything that you can get?
It is definitely hard to say no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's this kind of a saying that, like, once you say no to somebody 3 times, they're never calling you back, And so you want to be available and be consistent, but I'm kind of at the point where I've kind of done the grind. I've bought all my gear. I've, invested a whole bunch of money. Now I think in my personal career, it's time to kind of finally switch over to take a week off once a month to focus just on my own personal clients. Because once you have that 1 week to be able to focus on the personal clients, that's going to snowball into being a full month of just your own personal clients. They're just coming to me, handling everything, overseeing.
When did you realize that you wanted to start taking all the clients? Like, what made you realize that?
Well, I definitely started. I started being the person that's going. Basically after I graduated college, I had some money in the bank from working I was like a road hand for like entertainment companies, saved up some cash. and I basically had a week where I rented a camera, C100, rented like a little 1x1 light. And I hit up, cause I ride motocross, I hit up a whole bunch of motocross companies. And I'm like, hey, like, I got a camera, I want to shoot some stuff. I just want to come in. Can I shoot some things? So I did like a week of just shooting races, suspension companies.
For free.
For free. Just like, not even like them having a video that comes out of it. I'm just like, I just want to come to your place and shoot, And then can I interview you while I'm there and like, ask you these questions? And out of that week, I just made like 5 or 6 videos that were arranged from, race recaps to rider profiles to suspension company profiles. So I kind of started out with always working with the client, but then being in New York City, a little bit bigger of a market to be just a DP, all of a sudden one production company hires me on, then another production company hires me on, and then an agency, you know what I mean? And slowly so I'm always balancing, and there might be a month where I am doing all client work, and then there's a month where I'm shooting for one production company, because I'm on a month-long project, so it's always changing, goes in seasons in a way, but you just can't predict it.
No, you never can. Sometimes there's weeks where we're just swamped on shoots, and then there's weeks where we're just sitting in the office, just a post, doing business, you know what I mean? It's just,
And there's days where I'm like, I'm literally at the computer answering calls, looking over, scout reports, making a lighting diagram, working on a budget. There is that side where you're just not on set. And it's a lot, there is a lot of times where that is your day.
Yeah.
And it's really not that fun.
What are your thoughts on like shooting for free, either coming up or even maybe being a few years into the craft?
I would say if you're a few years into the craft, try not to shoot for free. Unless it's a project that is really going to benefit you and like push you into, say it's a music video and you get the offer to shoot, like I did a Lupe Fiasco music video and I worked for like $600 and, that's lower than my rate.
Of course.
But I was like, oh, I want to shoot with Lupe Fiasco and I get a Lupe Fiasco music video on my hands. So, if they have the budget for it, definitely don't shoot for free. If it's something that can benefit you and it's more of a collaboration, collaborate with people, work with people, in the end, we're here to have fun. We enjoy what we do. If it's something that you're not going to enjoy, don't do it for free, I guess,
Even starting out.
I mean, starting out, it's always a tough thing because I think you do need work, and it's always this like nobody has the right answer. I guess you'd say,
Yeah.
But I'd say to, what I actually did when I told you about that week where the suspension company, for example, I went to them and I'm like, hey, I'm going to make this. And I was like, hey, if anybody ever comes to you, can you let them know that I did this for you for like $1,400?
Yeah.
They're like, dude, sure. We have a video on our website. And the next guy that comes through, and then like 2 or 3 weeks later, a HVAC company in the area up in Massachusetts contacted me and they're like, hey, I'm a rider. I know that suspension company. I reached out to them, and then he came to me and he was like, I asked them, and they said that you were like $1,000 for that day, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, yes, I totally was. Totally charged that guy. So I would say if you can avoid doing stuff for free, but I understand why you need to. But a big thing that I just see happening is that being the cheapest person is never a sustainable business model. And there's so many people that I meet that are like, I want to go freelance. And I'm like, well, how are you going to do it? They're like, well, I'm going to undercut everybody. I'm going to work for $300 a day. I'm going to work for, And then you check in with them like 3 months later and you're like, how's it going? And they're like, oh man, I had to go back to this like corporate job because I can't buy any camera gear. I can't buy any lenses. There's a reason why rates are
the way
what they are. You know what I mean? Like it's my labor out of that is, way lower than what it is.
Yeah.
A lot of that is the equipment, subscription models, what I'm going to have to invest in next time, insurance. You know what I mean? That's all calculated into your day rate.
Yeah, I was talking to JT about it. Every time you hit record, you're wasting money. Not wasting money, but spending money.
Exactly. Yeah.
Every megabyte is a cent or two. You know what I mean? Like everything just adds up.
You got to buy hard drives. You got to buy a RAID system. Once you start, it's a. I just would say if people are watching this and they're wanting to start out and they say right now the guy that's watching this just got an offer to shoot something for $250 and he's just starting out, I'd be like, maybe you do that for them, but make sure that they know that the next time they need you back, if they love the product, you're going to charge this much. Be transparent.
Yeah.
And the thing that I always tell people is don't be afraid to throw out a rate, because if you are working for that rate and you lose that person on that one job, the next one that comes in is going to pay for that one you just lost out on. You know what I mean? So like you got to be strict with rates.
Definitely.
Hold your ground.
Yeah, hold your
Having
ground.
the confidence in your craft and what you do. I think like at times, I remember that was a big thing for me. Joe can attest to this, but like I had the price, but then you gotta be able to present that the right way. You gotta make sure that I'll get on the phone. All right, what's everything you're looking for? And then it's, all right, this is our whole process. It's like you want the person to leave the conversation of like, all right, it's a lot of money and maybe we can't afford it or we're not going to do it, but at least we know that this person takes all the steps that that it makes sense that they charge them.
Well, I get all the time, and I'm sure, Joe, you get this as well. I'll get someone that comes to me, ask for a quote, I give them a quote. They come back, hey, we've been talking to these other guys. They're going to do it for, half of the price. And I'm like, my response is always like, hey, that's great. I personally, I don't work on projects at that cost. But, keep me in mind for the future. Let me know how it goes. And sometimes I'll even, like, if I know that they're probably wanting to work with me versus the other guy, I'll check in with them like a month later. I'll be like, hey, man.
How'd it go?
How you doing? How did it go? And then, like, I'd say 8 times out of 10, I get a response like, this went wrong. This was the problem. Like, they didn't have this camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a reason why people, it's like when you buy a knockoff product. There's a reason why it's a knockoff product. It's not the top of the line.
Literally.
You know what I mean? So it's it's a tough thing, but it's a part of our industry,
Yeah, definitely.
How are you doing with like your personal brand now too? Because I know you said you wanted to start putting out like stuff on your own.
Yeah.
Are you branching out in terms of creating content for yourself now?
So I kind of have a little bit of like a plan. About to turn 28.
Let's go.
My birthday's next week, and my plan is to, at my year of 28 is trying to really kind of start producing my own stuff. Kind of like a cooking show in Austria in the mountains.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that'd be
I produced stuff in the past, documentaries as well, before. But the past 2 years with the way the pandemic has been, it's just been so busy, which has really allowed me to grow my business and get all the things that I needed. But now I kind of want to try to be like, one Saturday a month, shoot this type of thing. You know what I mean? And work towards those kinds of challenges to then create my own personal brand. But I am lucky that I have a set of probably 10 clients that hit me up like once a month, at least, so they're consistent. I have more. So it's more just trying to turn into more of a brand that is a business that's overseen with people that are working for it rather than like creating my brand, I guess you'd say,
With those 10 clients, how do you maintain like all 10 relationships? Because it does sound like a lot, you know what I mean?
You work a lot, man. I'm sure you know. Like, I mean, it's a lot of it, especially, a tough thing for me, and this is always the juggle, is I'm on set from sometimes 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you go home at 6 p.m., you got to answer a call. You know what I mean? So it is tough in terms of that. But I also let people know that from the start, like, hey, I'm going to be on set tomorrow. I know you want to chat. I should be back around 6 p.m. Let's talk then. So it's kind of just being communicating and being transparent with them, because you never want them to hit you up and wait and wait and wait. But if you tell them that they're going to have to wait, they'd probably, they're okay with that. You know what I mean? So I guess maintaining those relationships is just a lot of communication. But it doesn't need to be, it's text messages, it's emails, it's calls, and just having a good personality and being excited about their project,
100%. How did you get those relationships at first? Like, how did you get your foot in the door in a lot of the agencies?
So, I mean, many ways. A good thing that helped me is that I used to have a production studio, kind of like this, a place that people could come and shoot. So a lot of people would come and rent that out, and it was kind of like a marketing tactic for me in a sense. They'd come in and they'd shoot, and I'd be like, oh, by the way, I'm a DP. I shoot. I can handle your whole entire project. And then they're like, oh, by the way, we need to shoot a tabletop cooking video. Can we rent your space and hire you? And a lot of those people from that back then are still the people that I shoot with today. But it's also, we're in this industry where it's like word of mouth is huge. Networking events have helped me.
Even how we met.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we met at Fashion Week,
yeah.
like on like in passing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
No, I think someone dropped a memory card or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, did anyone drop this memory card? And you're like, no, dude. And we just started chopping it up after that.
Yeah, no, it's literally, I mean, there's just so many weird ways. And I'd say a lot of those clients, that's kind of how it's been, but I also have done, like cold emails. Hey, this is what I see is wrong with your website. Let me make it a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I've been, one of my biggest clients, I was referred to them because my roommate was actually going to be the, one of the fitness instructors. And then, we've shot a whole bunch for them. We shot 500 videos in 4 months for them. Yeah. So
what do you do when you start like burning out 500 videos? And do you ever feel that burnout?
Oh yeah. 100%. I mean, I am lucky enough, and I think that with freelance, you're lucky enough to be able to take off the time that you need, but you also know that when you're taking that time off, you know what I mean? So it's like, actually next month, I'm going to be gone for like 2.5 weeks because I want a vacation to do some fun stuff. But I know I'm not working those 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to be conscious of that. But burnout is 100% a real thing. And I've been, burned out enough that I've been starting to realize, Saturdays and Sundays, I can only talk to like certain people on Saturdays and Sundays. I got to go out. I got to have fun. You know what I mean? And a lot of times those clients don't want to talk on Saturdays and Sundays as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like balancing, you got to figure out that work-life balance, because a lot of days it is, 6 a.m. till 10 p.m.,
it's grueling sometimes.
Bunch of stuff. Yeah. And, delegation is a huge thing as well. When I think you kind of finally figure out like, okay, I can send this little edit to this guy, and
he can edit.
Yeah.
All right, what do you think we got? Oh, it's from B&H. Here, pass it over.
Ooh, this is always excited. Yeah,
dun, 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 dun.
I would love that one.
Oh yeah, shit. We didn't. So our segment. Let's do our segment. Our segment. We had the chug of water. Oh. That's how we normally start the podcast, but we just got right into it. What did we get?
That's probably nice for like a little ASMR.
A little ASMR. Give it to him, TP.
Oh, not the water drinking.
No, that too.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, we got the Zoom F3.
Oh.
32-bit float. And it came with free headphones. Ethan, your new headphones, my friend.
There you go.
I'll wear it 20 minutes.
All right. Cheers, my friends.
So we chug these?
We chug these.
All right, cheers.
You know about the chugging.
You know me, I like to chug.
Insert a
You
clip
spent
here.
a lot of time chugging.
Shout out JT, too.
Yeah, all I heard was how fun Austria was.
Oh yeah, let's give him a little recap.
Ooh. Are we allowed to give him like the full details?
We can give it. We'll censor out whatever we do.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
PG-13 details.
Well, so I hired Joey and his team to come shoot my sister's wedding in Austria. And I think that you guys signed up for it not knowing we were going to kind of get into. It was pretty brutal from your end. I felt bad for you guys a lot of the days, dude. It was like 3 hours of sleep every single night for 5 days straight.
It was fun though. At the end of it, it was worth it. Totally fun. Everyone was super well. Your family, everyone, just amazing, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Dude, I mean, you guys. Everybody just talked about how much of rock stars you guys were, and like rock stars, not just good workers, but rock stars, able to handle the party, and be able to work during it. You know?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, the first night we got greeted with a bottle of wine, went straight to the room, and just I had my handy cam. I'm like, all right, I guess this is what we're doing.
I think I found you the next morning with a 24-pack of beer in your bed.
Oh yeah, we can put a photo of that too in there. No, it was fun, and I enjoy like traveling and filming at the same time. I think that's the best part about our job, at least, because just seeing the culture. Just Austria was amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So I started out actually. One of my first jobs was working for a company called Yacht Life. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of them. Yeah, and you know, it's actually kind of something that I think is.
Is it Yacht Week now?
Well, there's multiple of them. There's Yacht Life, Yacht Week, something else yacht. You know, there's like 20 companies. Anyways, I do think though that grind of working in that 24-hour party, no sleep, and still having that task of what you have to do. Like you guys handled the task of having to document everything really well, despite, you know, probably sleeping 3 hours and having to walk like 10 miles a day. But I think that those experiences like translate then into working for, you know, big name clients that have a like huge budget. Is like, you got to get through the day.
It shows your character.
Yeah.
It shows your true character. Yeah.
I was just explaining that to someone last night, actually, that feeling is honestly like really good at times when you're like on your last leg of sleep and like you got one eye open and you're getting the shot, and you're packing up for the day and you're in your car driving home, and it's, you know, everyone else is sleeping, but you're doing your thing.
It's a personal like smile, grind and then smile. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like there's been some of like the longest days that I've had, and then at the end you're just like, you know what, I did it. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather say that I did that than be at home just kind of.
I was like Sunday night. Like,
what did we do Sunday?
Sunday we filmed.
Wedding. Yeah, so I had
wedding.
Yeah, this last week was crazy.
But it was just like a different wedding. It was more laid back, in the middle of nowhere. It was just a good time, and it's a Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, you know, most people want me saying watching football, but I don't know. It's just something when you know, like, you love something that you do, you'll do it whenever.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing, is like working on weekends. Like, I'm willing to work on weekends because I enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
like if it was another job, you asked me to do something else, I'd be like,
And I can always remember moments where I was like hesitant, but then as soon as, because I'm like, maybe I want to do something Saturday, but then it's like, all right, but this is a good job that we can take. And at first, you're like, I'm gonna do it, and you know, you're a little anxious before. You're like, I don't know if I want to, but then when you're in it, you're like, I'm glad I did this. I'm having fun doing it.
I think that's a big thing that happens in our industry, is a lot of people miss out on birthdays, weddings, funerals, family moments. Like, it's kind of known in the film industry that people miss out on it. But one thing that you kind of learn after being on film sets is like, nobody got there because they like fell into, like, it's not like people are like, yeah, dude, I was like a computer analyst, and then all of a sudden I ended up on set.
Yeah, I'm just a director
now. I'm
now.
stuck as a camera operator. You know, it's like, no,
hand me the camera.
Yeah, like, oh, this work sucks. You know what I mean? I think that our industry does produce, and that's why I like a lot of the people, is like, it produces people that are passionate about what they do.
Happier.
Yeah, happier, hard workers, and like, I mean, there's some miserable people in our industry because they get burnt out. You know what I mean? But in the end, they're willing to put that sacrifice in. Because I know, I mean, I'm sure you've personally missed out on a lot of family events. I've missed out on family events. It's something that happens. You know, you're halfway across the world when this is supposed to be going on. You know, like, but you know, in the end, you still love what you do, and it's, you know, you're willing to sacrifice some things. You know, and hopefully your family and friends understand that about you. Yeah, you're willing to do that.
Exactly, and it's hard because some people will take it the wrong way, where you rather choose work over.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But I think it's
happened a lot with me.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, but you got to communicate it to like everyone.
Yeah.
Like, your dreams always come first, I feel like.
100%.
Yeah, and especially when you're like, we are all still relatively young. Like, some people at 28, already families, kids, like
Yeah.
they just want to sort of rush to that point in life when there's some people out there that just have something inside of them that they want to go chase and get after.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what they do.
Yeah. You have the dream, I guess, you know?
You always have to dream.
Definitely.
So we always ask our guests this: what's one piece of advice you would give your younger self, and what's one piece of advice you would give your older self or your future self?
Oh, wow. Do you guys know how to look into the future? I don't know how to look into the future.
No, but what would you tell? What's one piece?
Deep.
I guess it would be kind of like if I could look back and look at where I was so nervous to do what I wanted to do that I would just say, like, keep being you and know that's going to work out, you know, because I think that in the end, like, personality has helped get to where you wanted to be. You know what I mean? Like, I never sacrificed what I wanted to do for something else. I did what I wanted to do and it ended up working, you know? And I was kind of always told that, as I was very lucky to have parents that told me that, like, do what you love, everything will work out. So I'd say that, do what you love, the money will come, the life will work out.
Be yourself.
Be yourself, exactly.
Yeah.
And then to my future self, I don't even know how do you even answer this. What do you say? Like,
Anything. I tell myself. What would I tell my future self? What did I tell my future self in the last one?
Mm-hmm.
I think I told my future self everything's gonna be okay.
everything's gonna be okay. Yeah.
That was
That's like kind of like what I just said to my past self.
exactly.
I
I
feel like
guess
a lot
full
of people
circle.
get the same, like, yeah.
I mean,
It is full circle.
maybe okay. I'm not sure if I'm thinking of this in the right way, but like, I hope that what I say to myself in the future is like, congratulations. You know, I hope, and I like aim to hopefully be able to say that to myself, like, you know, kind of like what I said to my past self, like, it's gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I can then say to myself that's older, like, hey, dude, great job. You had a great time. You had fun. You know, congratulations. Like, you're doing it. I guess, you know?
Exactly.
I hope that I say that.
I just want to touch on sort of like inspiration for a second. Is there, I'm sure growing up, you're watching movies, everything, and just constant inspiration. Nowadays, is there things that you're watching or people you follow that are inspiring you?
It's really funny because I watch, and like my roommates think this is crazy, and my family, like, I don't watch that many movies. I don't watch that much content. I'm not sure if it's because I'm like always around it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I get a lot of my inspiration more from like traveling and people that I meet, and I always try to do it that way. So me saying that I have something to watch that I suggest people to watch for inspiration, I honestly don't really have. But what I would say is like, go travel, sit down next to the person at the bar that you think is the weirdest, you know, because you're going to learn a lot from them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, always be willing to learn from people. And, you know, if you hear something, I think that you can always just transition those experiences into your work, you know? You know, as I said, you sit down at the bar next to somebody, you know, that might look a little, you know, sketchy or something, and nobody else is sitting next to him.
Yep.
You know, you start talking to that guy, you know, he might have a really interesting life lesson because they are thinking out there a little bit. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And then you can then transition that in. Like, just live experiences, try different food, meet different people, you know, don't hold yourself back.
So you would say get off the screen and go live life a little more.
Yeah, I think living life is, you know, one of the things that you asked about earlier was like film school. Like, I think that a college experience, not from the education side of things, but like just hanging out with friends, meeting people, making mistakes, transitions into work. And I did a lot of travel right after college. I went and lived in Southeast Asia for a while. And the reason why I love that is like, you know, you're put in a moment where you don't speak any language these people do. They can't understand you. You're on the top of a mountain. Your motorcycle ran out of gas. How are you going to figure out how to get gas when you know you got to hike like 5 miles down that mountain? Well, pack up, buddy. You got to hike down that mountain and find some gas and hike back up that, which is actually a true story, you know? Like, and then you take that experience and you transition that into what your work is, you know? So I would say, yeah, stay away from the screen, find out who you are through other people, you know?
And maybe we can end on this. What's like a piece of advice, like you went from college and then moved to Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a little nervousness or anxiety that came with it and thinking about it. What would you say to someone who there's whatever it is, a new job opportunity or just going somewhere? What would you say to them when they're a little unsure?
I mean, I run into this daily still. You know what I mean? I think you're gonna learn it throughout your entire life. But you know, back then at that moment, there was all the pressure of like, you know, graduated college, everybody else got this really good job, you know, making a really good salary, like doing what everybody wants you to do and what my parents wanted me to do and what, you know, everybody, you know, you're looking at those people right after you and you're like, oh, they're all set. You know, I would just say like, don't be afraid, you know, and you got to take that leap. You know, I think a lot of people don't travel. A lot of people don't go try things because they don't take the leap. And in the end, 99% of the people, you'll be okay if that leap, you know, you don't land. You can always pick yourself back up, you know?
Always. Just step out of your comfort zone.
Step out of your comfort zone, try new things, travel, see people.
Take some risk.
Yeah, take some risk, you know, just have experiences,
Yeah.
you know, especially in this industry.
Yeah. And that'll drive everything.
100%.
Yeah. For our last part, if you can give that camera a quote, give us a quote.
Dude, you guys are
just
like
putting you on it.
slamming me all these things. All right, quote. That means a few things. Take shots.
Boom.
And Corey, everybody.
You can figure out what that is, you know?
Corey, thank you so much for coming on,
Yeah,
brother. I
thank
really
you guys.
appreciate it. Thank you so
This was
much.
amazing. This was amazing.
Corey, everybody. Let's go.
That was fun.